Do you think without all that you've been through in the past, you could not have made this album?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been this album. It would have been a different album, I'm sure. Yeah.
Because it goes very, I think it's a very personal album.
It is, yeah. I suppose all my stuff is very personal, but the conscious decision I made was to try and interact with the outside world for this album, you know. So it is very personal. Everything is about what's in the mind, really. But I worked with lots of people, and I got lots of triggers from great people with great ideas, and I think that's why this is a better album than what I've done before.
And there is a lot of tributes to the people that inspired you on there.
Yeah.
Like to who, for example? Like who are your...
Well, Jimi Hendrix is one. There's a little known track there which I covered, which is actually a dream, and I was intrigued by dreams. Some of my songs have been inspired by dreams.
Really?
And this song, which Jimmy wrote, I know was a real dream. You know, he saw this vision, and it really sends shivers up my spine. And I used his words and his phrasing exactly, but to change some of the music. So Jimi Hendrix is a big part of my, you know, he's God for us still. You know. And then there's a song by Mott the Hoople. And Mott the Hoople was a very kind of legendary touring band in our day. And Queen supported Mott the Hoople. It's the only time we supported anyone, actually. And we were just young boys thinking that we knew it all. You know, we went out with Mott the Hoople, who were a very experienced rock and roll unit. And suddenly the world exploded. It was like, I mean, that tour was madness beyond compare. And so the song is a kind of an encapsulation of that feeling. And it became part of my life. You know, I became a rock and roll sort of animal in some way. I mean, there isn't really a stereotype, but, you know, you become involved in this world of rock music and you can never get out. You know, it just absorbs you, and that's it for you. That's what I found.
It's something you have to do. I think it's something you're born with.
I love it. I consider it a privilege to be in it. It's great.
Aren't you a little bit nervous as well about this album coming out? Because there's a lot of people that are going to say, Brian May, after Queen, you know, let's just tear every little piece about the album apart and listen to it.
Yeah. Well, in some ways it's an advantage, because at least people very often will give it one listen because they've heard who I am or something. In some ways it's a disadvantage because people have preconceived ideas and they think, oh, he must be successful. Maybe he's just coasting, you know, maybe he doesn't care anymore or something. But so you have to kind of work your way through the prejudice in both directions, you know. And but I'm just somebody who believes in what I'm doing. I've spent a long time doing this, and I wouldn't put it out until I felt like I had something to say.
This is it.
So this is it, and I'm proud of it.
Did you let it hear to your other Queen colleagues, like as sort of a test? No, they haven't heard.
Nobody's heard a note yet. No, it's funny, isn't it? Well, there was one song which was going to be on this album, which is called "No One But You."
No One But You.
Because originally, anciently, this album was going to be all tributes. I was going to make it all like revisiting my childhood and my influences, you know, like Jimi Hendrix was one of them. And I was going to write all these songs or perform all these songs because of my heroes. So it was going to be a heroes, you know, Brian May, hero. And then I gradually sort of moved away from that idea. But the final hero on the album was going to be Freddie, you know, because he was really a hero, you know. So I wrote this song, No One But You, about him. But it started to sound like Queen. And I thought, well, if it's going to sound like Queen, maybe it should have Roger and John on it. So I played it to them and they loved it. We did it. We played it together and it became a Queen song. So I lost it for this album. And
it's still somewhere though.
But the great thing was that kind of made up my mind that the album was no longer going to be this tribute thing. It was going to be something of the future. It was going to be my own ideas, my own journey. And this is my own journey.
I really admire it that people can like talk about their music when they're so much into music, and I'm just sitting here going, you can put it into words so greatly.
You think so?
Yes,
well,
definitely.
I think I'm better at putting it into music, really. I am a little resistant to talking about music because sometimes you can destroy it, you know?
Yeah.
I can say things much more profoundly in the music than I can by talking.
You have to feel it.
Yeah. So I hope that people take this home and sit and it envelops them. And that's what you want, you know, like when I used to get an album when I was a kid, you know, I'd take it home and it would be like my life for a few days, you know, you wouldn't even come out. So I'm very conscious of that. You know, music can be that powerful. It can be disposable, but it can also be something which stays with you for your whole life.
Forever, definitely. Are you also going to go on tour?
Yeah, we had a big setback and a very sad event because Cozy Powell, who made most of this album with me, was killed in a car crash about 2 weeks ago, just out of the blue. We just finished the album, and we just agreed that we were going to go on tour. And the last conversation I had with Cozy was he was excited, and he said, I've been waiting for this for 6 years. We'll get out on the road. We'll have fun, because it was great fun. And he's no more. Suddenly, my friends are checking out.
That must be so. Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I mean, it's so hard.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. I can see how people become like detached from reality because your brain can't compute it. I can't believe that he wouldn't walk in here and go, "Oh, I'm fine. It was only a joke," because that's the kind of guy he was. He was very funny and not the kind of guy who you think can die. So we don't have Cozy, and I would like to tour still, but I have a big problem to solve. Because he was not just a drummer. He was something very special. He was a big part of the spirit of what we were doing. I have to find a drummer, I suppose, and it's not easy.
No, I can imagine
really
that.
Not someone of that kind of quality and charisma and talent. He was great. So Cozy, we're doing it for you now.
I really admire the way you say this.
Well,
I do. Like, I don't think that's an easy thing, and especially and the way you handle it. Like, I don't know you that well, but the way I see you talking about it now, I think it's pretty.
Well, in different circumstances, you handle it different ways. In private, you have a good cry, and then but then somehow life has to go on, and you have to do it in the right way.
Show must go on. Someone said.
Yeah, I've actually done a remix of one of the tracks on this album for Cozy because it's very full of drums. The first big track on this album is called Business. So in England, we're going to put that out as a tribute to Cozy. I was going to do it in Europe. Maybe we can do it here later. But this single was already kind of on its way out in Europe, so we couldn't change it. But we have a special Cozy, a rock-on Cozy mix of Business. So maybe in Holland after this,
I would.
we'll put that out. Yeah, I think we should.
This is the Music Factory.